Love, light, and blessings. This is Shamanic Awak Priestess here, and I would like to talk about children and spirituality. That's going to be the topic of this week's video. Before I start this video, I would like to say that I offer my condolences to anybody who is directly or indirectly affected by the mass shooting that they've had recently with the 18 children, and the last that I saw a school teacher in Texas. I have clients that teach in Texas, so I'm so sorry for your loss. I don't feel like I can offer any real words of comfort, and I don't want to dismiss people's pain by saying thoughts, prayers, energies. I don't want to do that. I just want to simply say I'm sorry. And as a country, we need to do better to protect our children. And, my biggest thing is make sure that your voices are heard when elections come up. Make sure that we are voting in people that are going to do something about this problem. Not just talk about it, but actually do actions about it. We need to hold our politicians and our representatives, I don't care what party you're from, whoever you're voting for, we need to hold these people accountable. And we need to do what we need to do in order to get the legislation passed that's going to protect our children. No child in any part of the world should ever have to fear being shot at and killed in school, where it's supposed to be a safe place for our children. That should never happen in any country to any child in this world. Children should always feel safe. And so I just wanted to say that. And I'm just truly sorry. And I know it's been very emotional for a lot of people. And I'm so sorry to the families. I'm so sorry to the families. So today's video is going to be about children and spirituality. And the reason why I came up with this topic is because I was walking home from dropping my daughter off at school this morning, and I was just like, I've really been thinking about it, and I was thinking about it in the shower this morning, and I was, and I'm like, I'm about to start my my readings for the day, and everything, finish my coffee, and so I wanted to make this video. I'm going to try to keep it quick because I do have to get my work day going, but I basically was thinking about like my path, like my journey thus far. And basically, when I was thinking about my journey, I was like, I have this question asked to me by clients as well too, like, do I tell my child that I'm practicing like alternative religions, voodoo, santeria, spiritualism, eclectic witchcraft, whatever it is that you're practicing, right? Because I know, like, when I was a Christian, we were told that we needed to spread the word and evangelize people and tell everybody the good news and everything. But like, I'm not in that path anymore. Like, many of us are not really in that path anymore. We're not going around, announcing who we are and that kind of thing. And some people, like, they don't know, like, they're like, do I tell my child? Because what if they talk about these things at school? Whereas these practices are not the mainstream, right? We're mostly Abrahamic religion nation. At least here in the United States, you have Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and other, more mainstream religions. Things outside of Abrahamic religions are kind of looked down upon or misunderstood or misrepresented. So a lot of people feel like maybe I shouldn't tell my children anything. I know in the generation that I grew up in, with my elders, it was very taboo to really, even though your child would be in on the rituals, it was very taboo to like tell someone too much. I know for me growing up, like, we would have birthday parties and then there will be like rituals afterwards. Now I know the rituals where people would be dressing in white and they would be drinking libations and praying and speaking in tongues. And I would see sometimes people like looking as if they're getting a seizure. And talking in scary tongues at the time. That's what it felt like for me. I didn't know what was going on, my mom would have, a dove in the house, and then all of a sudden the bird that was flying in my house for 2 days is gone. Or there would be a chicken, and then she would go somewhere and that chicken was gone. And every time I would try to ask about these things, she's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Or, you know, like dismissive, like not really explaining, or, passing a cow's tongue. Or when when I received my first spirits, right? I remember my eyes being closed and they're doing stuff, and I'm hearing animals over my head, and stuff is put on my head, and then my head's wrapped, and I'm told not to wash my hair, and just a lot of things were never like explained, like what are we doing. I later found out like I was being initiated. They were doing rituals and cleansings and all these things, because now I have that open relationship with her where she can explain the things that were happening. But when I was growing up, like nothing was ever explained. I didn't know why she had this statue, and why she's feeding this, and why she's doing that. And so when I started telling people the things that my mother practiced, my friends at school were like, "Ooh, your mom sounds satanic. Your mom sounds evil." And I started seeing things like they were bad, like she was doing evil things, because that's what the world was telling me. That's what my aunt was telling me, who was a very like, even though she grew up in that, she wasn't taught by my grandmother, her mother. So she saw it as demonic too, because she was listening to what other people said. And then there was this older couple in my building at the time when I lived in the Bronx. That was like, do you know Jesus? Because I was watching like a televangelist preaching about how idolatry and all how evil it was. And I remember like, oh my goodness, Jesus, forgive me, and giving my heart. I don't want to fall into the evil things that my mom's doing, and converting and feeling like, and everything that she was doing was evil. And then I started going to church, and every Sunday, then my brother came on board, and I got baptized at 12, and all these things. And for years, like it caused a strain in my relationships, even to the day that I got married. I got married at 19 years old to my first husband. I saw everything that she did as demonic. I didn't respect her altars. My older sister started going to church again, because she never like explained things, and we were very mean. I'm not even gonna lie, like we were mean, and I was so angry, and I would envision like breaking her statues and throwing them away. And she's, this guy that's trying to like come at my mother's house, and he's speaking tongues, and he's doing all these rituals like he's evil. And like my heart breaks because of the colonization that this world has, the demonizing of spiritualities that we don't understand. But as children, when society is telling you that something's evil and you don't have anyone explaining things to you, it can cause a rift, and it can cause issues. So what I tried to do different, because when I in my 20s, when I went to my mom for help, and she started to explain things to me, I started to study the history of Puerto Rico, the history of Haiti, the history of Black people, the history of Indigenous people. I started to understand why she felt that she couldn't tell me about these things, why she had altars in her closet, why everything was kept a secret. But I wish that when I was younger and I was growing up, that she would have had these conversations with me. It would have avoided me from joining a cult at 9 years old and being in this religion until my 20s. I never wore pants. Pants were a sin. I never cut my hair for years. I never took out my eyebrows. I just learning how to put on makeup. I was in a very abusive relationship because misogyny, and the man is the head of the household, and divorce is frowned upon. And I grew up in this religion, in this church, that everything was fear-based. Everything was, you're going to go to hell. And I had to constantly try to fight for my salvation and be this perfect person when I am an imperfect human being, and being Christ-like and all these things. If that resonates with you, that's fine. But it really mentally traumatized me. And it wasn't until I went through certain things with my second oldest that I sought my mother's help. And she mentored me, and then through her, I got my godfather and my godmother and things of that nature. And I sought other people out. And that's another thing too, because she wasn't so open when I was growing up, right? I sought false teachers. You know what I mean? And I went through so many things. That's why I'm such an advocate for educating people and being careful what you read on the internet and being careful what you see in books, because I was a victim of misinformation. And I missed out on so much bonding. It literally caused a rift in my relationship with my mother. So when I had children and I converted and I began to practice espiritismo and santeria and voodoo, which are all different practices, and even getting into conjure and hoodoo, right? I decided to make my children a part of it, not to force them, because I believe that our children should choose whatever religious path they want to follow. But instead, I decided to include them. When we are talking and petitioning Papa Legba or Elegua, you know, I allow them to be part of the ritual, whether it's using the conjure stick, whether it's petitioning, whether it's helping to conjure the spirits. And when they ask, I explain. And if they don't ask, they don't. And I don't force them to be part of rituals. But if they're curious, they are. You know, I have 4 children, and 3 of them have participated because they felt called to. My second youngest doesn't feel called to, so he respects it, but he may not be a part of it, and that's fine. But he doesn't see it as scary because it's just something mommy does. It is part of our everyday life. And I tell them, like, just because we do this, there's a lot of people that don't understand what mommy practices, or they see it as evil because they're misinformed, or, you know, they don't understand. A lot of people demonize things they don't understand. You know, I'm very open with them about that. But this is who I am. This is what we do, or this is what I do. This is what my voodoo house does. This is what my, you know, the people in the voodoo house that I'm a part of, this is what we do, and things like that. And so it's normal for them. It's normal that mommy reads tarot. It's normal that mommy does videos on YouTube. It's normal that mommy practices Haitian voodoo. Like, it's normal to them. And there's times they'll be like, mommy, you know, oh, can you make me a talisman? Can you pray over it? It's normalized, but I don't force them to practice, but I don't keep it. I'm not in the closet with my children, if that makes sense. You know, but I also don't like force that on their friends. I'm not like, hey, I'm a, you know, I'm a voodoo sant to her friends. Like, this is something that's private, but I keep it like around, like I am more open with my children. And that has caused us to become closer, because then it's like I undid that generational trauma where it, instead of causing a rift, is just normalized. And then I tell my kids, but don't, you know, you don't have to go tell your friends about it. You don't have to talk about it in school, right? This is one part of my life, but this is like a private part of my life, right? We're not indoctrinating people. And so my kids understand that, because I'm like, you know, a lot of people might not understand, and I don't want you to have issues at school. But at the same time, like, I feel it's important, if you are practicing these types of spirituality, to be open with your children. You don't have to force them to practice. I don't believe in that, but just make it part of a normal thing. And if they want to do simple things like giving candies to Elegua on his altar, or refilling libation, that's okay, you know? And so that's, my children now see them as like part of the family. And I love that. Like, I remember doing a ritual with my Piritimo class. We were doing a ritual, and my daughter, my oldest daughter, was part of it, and it was very normal for her. And I was told she was explaining things that the students didn't understand that were happening in the ritual, and that's a beautiful thing, because, like I said, to her it's normal. And I'm so happy that I was able to break that. And I sometimes I really wish that my mom would have been more transparent, open. Now she's more open with her grandchildren, the ones that are interested in it. But she grew up in a generation that was so taboo, you know. And if we're honest, a lot of stuff that we practice to this day is still demonized. You watch every horror movie, they make fun of any type of black or indigenous spirituality. Is always at the end, the Native Americans curse the land, and the Africans curse the land, and this, that, and the other. You know, a lot of scary movies are based on that. And so you don't want society to make your children think that what you're doing is evil. So it's up to us as parents to like talk to them. We don't have to force them to be a part of it, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with including them in it, and then they can just choose if they want to follow that path or not. Because, you know, we also have the respect to, like, if our children don't want to follow in our path. You know, my youngest daughter does, my oldest daughter is into it, but she doesn't want to do stuff for other people. She likes more of a solitary practice. My youngest daughter loves what I do. My second youngest, he's, respects it, but doesn't participate. And then my son is like my oldest daughter, where he loves it, he respects it. He asks me to pray for him, and he has been part of the rituals, but he doesn't like have altars and stuff. My youngest daughter does, and my oldest daughter does. You know what I mean? They all have their different spectrums. But the most important thing is that it's normalized to them. They're not confused about what I'm doing. They're not scared. Because that's the thing, when you don't tell somebody, it brings fear. And fear could bring separation and conflict, Now, with parents, is a different thing. Like, if your parents are not practicing, I don't feel the need to like go evangelize my family. A lot of my family doesn't even know I have this channel. A lot of my family, doesn't even know what I practice, because again, it's private. But I feel like it's different for my biological children, if that makes sense. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. Much love, much light, much blessings. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section. I would love to have a dialogue and, communications about this and everything like that. If you want to work on me, if you want to work with me on a one-on-one basis, shamanicarawakpriestess.com, where you can go and get your private reading with me. Also, you can join my memberships if you press the join button, and there's 3 different tiers there where you can be part of my spiritual community that I have created here on YouTube. It is really fun, and it's actually growing. I have 10 new members this month, so really, really excited about that. So thank you so much for that. That's been my dream, for me to be able to make these types of videos that I really can't upload on my main channel. But I can have these discussions on my membership. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to join, okay? Also, if you want to give me a thanks, buy me a cup of coffee, anything like that, you can give me a super thanks, and there you can donate. There's different price points there. Any little bit helps, and I do so much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and then to the next video. If you watch this video all the way through, and that will help you to be drawn into the giveaway that I'm going to have when we reach 8,000, please give me a crystal ball emoji at your comments, along with your comments, and I'll know that you watched the video all the way through, and I will enter you in the giveaway that I'll be doing very soon. Much love, much light, much blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.